Several popular websites and apps disrupted early Monday morning after Amazon's computing services unit, Amazon Web Services, was hit by a major global outage. Impacted websites and apps included Amazon, Snapchat, Facebook, also Delta Airlines, United Airlines experiencing disruptions as travel customers were unable to check in for their flights. The total cost of the outage could reach up to hundreds of billions of dollars. Mehdi Dowdy, the CEO of internet performance monitoring firm Catchpoint, speaking to CNN, laying out the cost, writing this: the incident highlights the complexity and fragility of the internet, as well as how much every aspect of our work depends on the internet to work. The financial impact of this outage could easily reach into the hundreds of billions due to loss in productivity for millions of workers that cannot do their job, plus business operations that are stopped or delayed from airlines to factories.
So the Associated Press, and this coming in saying this, Amazon, this is a quote from AP, Amazon pinned the outage on issues related to its domain name system that converts web addresses into IP addresses, which are numeric designations that identify locations on the internet. Those addresses allow websites and apps to load on internet-connected devices. So a bit of jargon there, if you will, from a technical lens. But all in all, Amazon is blaming the domain name system, though there are a lot of questions of was this some sort of attack? As of right now, the statement from Amazon essentially is not that. Amazon is blaming the domain name system. But how it got to that point, we'll talk to John Tobacco about that, the host of Wise Guys. And Tommy Aiello is a senior director of government affairs at the National Taxpayers Union. Gentlemen, thanks so much for coming on. Talk to us about this outage, Tommy, if you can. How this, number one, of how limited services like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, Google, how limited the country is reliant on these just very few companies to carry out what needs to be done. Talk to us about this outage and what you've been seeing.
Yeah, it just shows you how fragile our global system is. Luckily, it was a very limited thing. Amazon was able to fix it within a day. That's a very good thing. And we have to recognize that this wasn't as far as we know, a foreign actor trying to hack into the system. And I think it just goes to show that, Amazon's making these investments. They can't always be perfect. But at the end of the day, it seems like everything is back up and running. But we need to remember that we expect our apps to load, our Venmos to go through, and the lights to be turned on every time we flip a switch. So we need to be right 100% of the time.
That's right. John, we're so reliant on these apps,
Indeed.
Especially if you're traveling, you want to make sure you get to your destination. Or you mentioned hospitals. That could have been impacted.
Yeah, hospitals were, and also schools as well. So all the way down to Ring cameras.
Indeed.
So who knew, John?
Yeah.
I mean, it's in everything.
A lot of people don't realize this, but Amazon does not make the bulk of their money from selling shirts and furniture and stuff on their website. They make the bulk of their money from Amazon Web Services, which is really the main hub of communication between all of these. That's where they make all their money. So the reliance on Amazon is something that maybe the government should look at. And I would just say, my friend Devin Nunes over at Truth Social, Donald Trump's company, they have no exposure to Amazon Web Services whatsoever, and they were operating beautifully yesterday. And the monetary impact came right down to my home because my son is at college. He wanted a Venmo yesterday, and because my Venmo was not letting me log in, my son had to go foodless last night.
Oh, my.
No. Is he still hungry? Is he all right now?
Yeah, we took care of it.
It went through.
Yesterday, he got a little justice.
Oh, good. Yeah, Tommy, to your point, I mean, and John's point there, you didn't realize how reliant the United States is, or America is, the globe really is reliant on AWS, Amazon Web Services, and really how many apps are using it until really yesterday when the outage happened. But again, they say that things are back up and running. Let's move on to this. Investors are also reacting to the ongoing uncertainty of the trade war, if you will, between the United States, between China. President Trump spoke about this. Here's that moment.
I think China's been very respectful of us. They're paying tremendous amounts of money to us in the form of tariffs. As you know, they're paying 55%. That's a lot of money. China's paying 55% and a potential 155% come November 1st, unless we make a deal. I think when we finish our meetings in South Korea China and I will have a really fair and really great trade deal together.
So thoughts on that, Tommy, if you can, President Trump's comments, the impact the remarks could have on investors, specifically with China there.
Look, the United States and China, they need to make a deal. It's the two of the largest superpowers, two of the largest economies in the world. A lot hangs in the balance. And I think the president is slightly off when he said China is paying these tariffs. American consumers are paying the tariffs. American importers are paying the tariffs. So I think the sooner that we can reach an agreement where we can send more soybeans to China, help our farmers, and ensure that we have a steady stream of goods coming into the country at an affordable cost and accessible cost is better for everybody, particularly for investors. He's right, we need to increase the manufacturing of America. We can get there through American energy dominance. We can get there through permitting reform. Those are the best ways to increase American manufacturing, not tariffs.
Well, President Trump heads to Asia at the end of the week, and John expected to meet with Xi Jinping. So is that where the deal gets made?
Yeah, look, the only thing I would slightly disagree with Tommy on is he says that, these 55% tariffs are getting passed directly onto the consumer. That's not necessarily true because China needs to sell all these goods into the U.S. They rely on us. They have a bank crisis and a currency crisis going back at home. So my reporting tells me that China is actually eating some of that 55%. And I'm not seeing a 50% increase in every price of everything that's imported from China. So China is taking it on the chin a bit to make sure that U.S. suppliers are still taking their products. They're eating some of it. So, I think Trump has them in kind of like a cobra clutch a little bit here, that they have to come to the table.
We'll leave the economic expertise, if you will, to both you gentlemen. I will say the common sense approach, at least from our end here, is it seems to be the tariffs are implemented or spoke about, and then a negotiation seems to take place at the 11th hour. So we'll watch for that. China, obviously, a bigger superpower to deal with. John Tobacco, Tommy Aiello, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You got it. So